Well, I guess since I'm dead, we can talk about the next thing on the agenda, and that is the fact that President Trump is getting bribed. Yes, this dude, who already has billions of dollars, is getting bribed by Qatar. That's really bad. That's really bad. It's really bad having a person in the White House who can be bought and sold. Can you imagine for a minute? So here's the context of what's going on. So this is from CNN. Some of President Donald Trump's staunchest supporters are among the loudest critics of his plan to accept a jet from Qatar for use as Air Force One. In a rare break from the cheerleading that typifies MAGA media outlets, some commentators are using their platforms to urge Trump to change his mind about the highly unusual gift. Others are encouraging Trump voters to consider how they'd react if a Democratic president hatched this plan. So, let me go ahead and lay it out for you. Foreign government gifts giant jet to the President of the United States. The President says, "Ooh, thank you for this beautiful personal gift. I will use it as Air Force One," because he is the President of the U.S. Any plane that he is on, that is, like any private plane he's on, is Air Force One for the duration of the time that he is using it for that. Goes on to say, I think if we switch the names to Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, we would all be freaking out on the right, Daily Wire co-founder Ben Shapiro said Monday on his podcast. Ben Shapiro coming out against Trump. Shapiro also linked the potential Qatari deal with other reports of influence peddling like Trump's cryptocurrency sweepstakes. Because whoever has the most Trump coin gets the opportunity to spend a bunch of time with Trump, which really just feels like, if you're a dude, a way to have him pat you on the back and say thank you for being a sucker, and if you're a girl, a way for him to try to grab you by the pussy. You know, unless, of course, you're a trans girl, in which case you would just confuse him the minute that he had his first experience with girl bulge. The administration's policy is too important for this sort of activity, Shapiro says, emphasizing that he wants Trump to succeed. Oh, really? That is a... Man. We can't do this thing. Anyway, saying that President Trump promised to drain the swamp, and this is not, in fact, draining the swamp. You know, this is, in fact, as opposed to draining the swamp, this is taking fucking shit from a foreign country and being shown as a corrupt, bought and sold politician as a result. Not that most politicians aren't already bought and sold on open markets. We already know this. But said he's also confused by wet-ass P-word. Some Trump-aligned commentators and social media stars are echoing the president's talking points about the luxury jet, including the insistence that only stupid people would turn down such a gift. Trump, you're the president of the United States. A private citizen would be stupid to turn down such a gift. You are not a private citizen. You are the president. You are also a multi-billionaire. You can afford a jet. You could just do that. However, a striking number of Trump boosters sound almost as outraged as Democratic lawmakers who say that accepting the plane would be profoundly unethical and possibly illegal. I mean, even if that's the case, we all know that Trump doesn't give a shit if his actions are illegal. He engages in illegal actions all the fucking time. Sawara says, jets are expensive to run. If I were gifted a jet, I would either turn it down or I would sell it. Oh, I would sell it. Like, if I had a jet, personally, that would be a thing that I have no personal use for. I do not travel enough, and I cannot afford the fuel to keep a jet like to keep something like that in the air. However, a private jet worth, $400 million means that I never have to work again in my life, and I can just focus on making Magic the Gathering content that I like and focus on political activism without having to worry about deadlines. I can just focus on doing things that I care about at that point. Which is crazy that we don't live in a world where people can already do that in general. Also, I did not know that we were getting into this boss fight again right now. I was unaware that that was happening, but somebody started the fight, so here we are. Group 2 stack on...
Knocking back.
Boop, 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 boop. Great. Group 2 stack on triangle. Am I group 2? Yes, I know I am group 1. I am supposed to stack over here. Yay! It said, gotta love the impatience of not waiting for the healer to have mana. Look, that is the struggle that I will have forever in MMORPGs. Having mana is a suggestion, and groups do not think that me having mana is important. Also, following raid leader orders and then dying as a result, that also happens all the time. Anyway, since I'm dead, we can just look at this a little bit more. Many of the right-wing critics, like Laura Loomer, predicated their objections on Qatar's relationship with the militant group Hamas. Senior members of Hamas have long been based in the Qatari capital of Doha, though Qatar reportedly agreed to expel Hamas officials last November. Loomer criticized Trump's potential jet deal on Sunday and Monday by writing a series of anti-Qatar posts on X. Said this is really going to be such a stain on the admin if this is true, she wrote. And I say that as somebody who would take a bullet for Trump. I'm so disappointed. She would only take a bullet for Trump because... no, that's an incredibly inappropriate thing for me to say. I'm not going to say anything about the next words that were going to come out of my mouth. Anyway... Fox News host Mark Levin shared her post and wrote ditto. For now, most of the conservative criticism has been leveled in social media pages, not on the TV shows that Trump is known to enjoy. The jet controversy has been very lightly covered on Fox News, the country's dominant right-wing TV channel. The main story on Fox's website about the matter on Monday was titled, Trump rips ABC reporter for asking about accepting luxury jet from Qatar. As if ABC was the problem. Yeah, not the fucking corrupt deal in the first place. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Extra mundane. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. It said their turn between sucking his dick and Islamophobia. They have to figure out which one they're gonna do. Oh my god. The arc always targets the furthest away and 2 other people. We need to pay attention. Man. Said last time I played WoW was before Pandaren, so I don't even remember what I played. Well, this is WoW Classic. So this is vanilla WoW. Technically. This is WoW Classic Season of Discovery, which means that, like, yes, it is vanilla WoW. But at the same time, there's a bunch of added stuff in here that was not there during Classic. Razor says, it's okay, Nekosuris. The Attorney General signed off on the deal. You and the Attorney General that he gets to nominate. The other tank yellow. You can DPS mainly. To Bobo, when you get electricity under you, don't run away from the raid. Just stay where you are. Okay. Man, I am so bad at this raid, it's hard for me to actually, like, know what advice is good advice. We just all stacked, and if you get the debuff, you move further in, it's fine and less easy to mess up. Ay, oi, oi. So the chain doesn't go past 3. Neat-o. Neat-o. I guess we go here, and then I'm able to buff everybody up. So there's another thing that I wanted to showcase here as well, but there's a little more for us to read here. Fox and Friends host Brian Kilmeade did ask the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about the matter on Monday morning. Ooh, she is a Trump fangirl through and through. What does she say about it? Now I'm curious. Leavitt positioned it as a government-to-government transaction that would be done in full compliance of the law, sidestepping reports that Trump's presidential library will take possession of the plane shortly before he leaves office, ensuring he can still use it. So it's a private gift. That just makes it a private gift. You're saying that no, it's a government to government thing, but the reality of the situation is that no, this is a gift to Trump that would just let him have it. Like that's what that is. That's just a gift to Trump. The Fox and Friends host asked Leavitt, "Do you worry that if they give us something like this, they will want something in return?" And the press secretary said, "No, because Trump only works with the interest of the American public in mind." No, Trump works with the interest of Trump in mind, not the American public. He's going to see this and go, "Oh, I get to have a jet for free? Oh my God, that's so great. That's so great." National Review contributing editor Andrew McCarthy wrote Monday that accepting the plane is indefensible, arguing the president and his flacks again demonstrate that they don't grasp the concept of constitutional duty and the conflicts of interest. He cited the Trump family crypto venture as another example. I am glad that more people are starting to talk about the crypto grift. Boss on Star, we all stack here on this pipe. After the first arc, you move to the wall if you have the debuff. Okay. Sure thing. Anyway, talk radio host Eric Erickson, who, like the National Review, has often criticized Trump from a conservative perspective, didn't mince words about his condemnation for the potential jet grift. On his Monday show, Erickson argued that Qatar is not a U.S. ally, and pointed out that Attorney General Pam Bondi, who reportedly signed off on the legality of the gift, was previously a paid lobbyist for Qatar. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I think she's opening Donald Trump up to legal trouble later. If the Supreme Court hadn't stepped in, Trump would just be in fucking jail. On X later that day, Erickson observed that even a lot of Trump supporters were not thrilled about the Qatar plane grift. Okay, so now let's go ahead and see what's going on in Congress, because articles of impeachment are being thrown at Trump as well.
And misdemeanors.
Let's go back.
Yes, and the gentleman will read the notice.
May I proceed?
Yes, gentleman. Can I ask to read the notice?
Mr. Speaker, the form of the resolution is as follows. House Resolution 353, impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolution impeaching Donald John Trump, President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. Resolved that Donald John Trump, President of the United States, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following articles of impeachment be exhibited to the Senate. Article of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the name of itself and of the people of the United States of America against Donald John Trump, President of the United States of America, in maintenance and support of its impeachment against him for high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 1, obstruction of justice, violation of due process, and a breach of the duty to faithfully execute laws.
So this seems like when he tried to get people in. This seems like when Trump tried to say that, oh, you were a judge who stopped me from getting illegal immigrants out of the country without actually knowing if they're illegal immigrants. I'm going to go ahead and threaten your job.
Constitution provides that the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment, and that the president shall...
It's not that the video has to be flipped. Let me go ahead and go to the video screen. I don't even remember why it's flipped, but let's transform and flip horizontal.
I'll be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes.
So bribery, treason I get because of January 6th, right? Trump is directly responsible for January 6th. He whipped everybody up into a frenzy, and he did not do anything to stop them until way, way, way after they had already done things like threatened Congress's lives. So this is 4 years ago? No. This is now. This is not 4 years ago. This is now. The bribery thing is because of the fucking plane. This is current.
And misdemeanors. Further, Article 2 of the Constitution states that the President shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed.
And by the way, here the Congress member is talking about it even more, about, you know, what he's doing here, what he's after, what his goal is here. Here, play this clip.
This is Congressman Shri Thanedar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
You'd think it would be the
court
final
said
straw.
The wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment.
You're smart enough to know when something's not working. Like when you can't focus at work.
We're not here for the advertisement. No. We're not here for the advertisement.
The
Continue.
Democratic leader right here, Hakeem Jeffries, and he's asked a question separately. You know, the Trump DOJ, which, by the way, in my view, is a criminal cartel. Let's call them what they are. Let's use accurate words. They're trying to now potentially arrest Democratic Congress members in Newark, the same way Trump's DOJ arrested the mayor of Newark for simply asking questions about this private prison, Delaney Hall, with private prison guards paid for by tax dollars of we the people, and the mayor of Newark saying, what the hell are you doing in my district? What are you doing in my city? Let me see what's going on here. I'm the mayor. And then they arrested him, and they assaulted Democratic members of Congress, and now they're accusing the Democratic members of assaulting the private prison guards because they're the Gestapo. I mean, they're like, you know, the brown shirts. That's what the Trump DOJ has become. Here's what Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries has to say. Play this clip.
Run out.
Questions?
Knocking back.
Mr. Leader, good afternoon. What would your statement the other day after there was this incident in Newark, you said they better not touch our members.
Correct.
What happens if they were to go and arrest these members, or if they would try to sanction them here in the House of Representatives?
They'll find out.
What would you do?
They'll find out.
Of course. I mean, but doesn't that broach a...
They'll find out. They'll find out. But no, why not just tell people? Why not just tell them? Don't do this whole, like, FAFO, oh, no, they'll find out. Cocky son of a bitch. Anyway.
They'll find out.
Doesn't that go across...
That's a red line.
What's the red line, though? I mean, I know we have this.
It's a red line. It's very clear. First of all, I think that the so-called Homeland Security spokesperson is a joke. It's a joke. They know better than to go down that road, and it's been made loudly and abundantly clear to the Trump administration. We're not going to be intimidated by their tactics to try to force principled opposition from not standing up to their extremism. It hasn't happened during the entirety of this failed term. It didn't happen when Donald Trump temporarily was sitting high in the immediate aftermath of the election. Do you think it's going to happen now when he's the most unpopular president in American history after?
But then why do the Democrats in general not do that much about him? Like, okay, so introducing articles of impeachment is a good thing to do. I agree with that. It is, in fact, doing something, but let's not kid ourselves. It is also a tactic that will not do anything. It doesn't. Because for articles of impeachment to do anything, you need to have enough people in the Senate who are willing to convict Trump. Daniel Watson says, you better not cross this 47th red line or there's going to be a stern letter. Like, what I've seen from the Democratic Party largely is let's acquiesce power, let's acquiesce power, let's acquiesce power to the right wing. Let's look for the middle ground. Let's look for the compromise. But compromise isn't a fucking position. It's not. If one group of people says, please allow me to live, please allow me to take a fucking shit without feeling like I'm going to get sent to jail. And your response to that is no. And then the third person, or the fucking Democrat in this case, goes, well, let's look for the compromise here. Let's look for the middle ground. There is no fucking middle ground there. There's nothing there. There is no meeting in the middle there. A compromise is not the correct thing to do when we are talking human rights. But largely, we see rhetoric from the Democrats doing, we should reach across the aisle, appeal to their better nature, we should compromise. No. No. The right wing isn't fucking compromising on this shit. Bipartisanship is not a quality. It is simply an end result of having something that is broadly popular, or at least broadly stomachable. But it is not an end goal, and compromise is not an end goal. Justice is an end goal, and making sure that we have a coherent definition of justice that makes sure that people's human rights are met should be the goal.
His first 100 days, give me a break. No one's intimidated by this dude. No one.
Yes, the fuck they are. No. Dude. No, there are plenty of people who are intimidated by Trump, and Trump has plenty of power that is intimidating. The only people who say that they are not intimidated by Trump are people who do not adhere to Clifford's Principle. For those who don't know, Clifford's Principle is the concept in philosophy where you have a belief that is justified by evidence. So when you have a car that has broken down 3 times over the last few weeks, and you slap your hand on the hood, and you say, this baby is gonna make it, you are not adhering to Clifford's Principle. Because you have enough data to understand that there is a chance that this baby might not make it. You have enough information to know that you might not have that particular wish fulfilled. But when you so confidently say, nah, this baby's a trooper, she's gonna make it, Clifford's Principle says you don't have enough data to make that comment. So when you're like, no, nobody's intimidated by Trump, yes, they are. There are plenty of people who are intimidated by him because he has control of the military. He has influence over the police. He has influence over our Congress. He has influence over the young minds of the people who actually who are going to be the driving force of whether or not we have a conservative elected after him. There is plenty to be scared of. The correct thing to do is operate the way you feel you should be operating in spite of that fear. Operate with courage, not without fear.
And so there are clear lines that they just dare not cross.
They do cross those lines, you moron. The Republicans cross those lines all the fucking time. Trump crosses those lines all the fucking time. These are people who have given up what the law is. They don't give a shit anymore unless that law is being used to oppress minorities. And when they don't like how the law is operating, what they do is they change the laws so that they oppress more minorities. This is a statement made from a position of would-be power without anything to back it up other than you are a politician, her. So the last Hail Mary of civility politics is when Obama said they go low, we go high, then got stonewalled in Congress for 6 years. Dems should have updated their playbook by now. Yeah, they go low, we go high doesn't fucking work. Instead, you should be adhering to escalation theory, which is once a weapon has been introduced into the conflict, that is the weapon that you should be using. You don't say, our opponents introduced a nuclear warhead into the conflict, but they went low, and we're going to go high. And because we're going to go high, we are not going to be using a nuclear weapon ourselves. We are not going to be using a deterrent of any kind. No, that's a position that you end up doing that gets you fucking killed. You don't go, the right wing actually has the Joe Rogan experience. He's been getting more and more people to be conservative because of his guests and his demeanor over time. But they went low and we are going to go high. We are not going to utilize the same tactics. No! The left needs its own fucking Joe Rogan. But like Joe Rogan, it needs to be seen as not leftist Joe Rogan. It needs to be seen as another centrist who just so happens to bring people to the left.
And here's one of the propagandists of the regime, angling to be the new pink dress lady after Caroline Leavitt. Here she is, Trisha McLaughlin. She's been making a lot of appearances on Fox. Again, just an utter humiliating human being. Let's watch what she has to say. Play this clip.
She's not fighting for American victims, and I'd like to lay out the facts. The fact that it was these 3 members of Congress who trespassed.
Okay, so what she's talking about here, I believe this is the church group that stood to prevent people from getting into the ICE facility. Which, you know, fucking good on them.
Broke the law and stormed that ICE detention facility. They put law enforcement at risk, they put our detainees at risk, and they put our staff at risk. Had they asked...
Stop fucking listening to me, you stupid goddamn AI! What the fuck? I'm just sitting here and my phone is just like, do you want help with this thing? No, the fuck I don't. Stop listening to me. Fucking Google. Every single developer that made this fucking technology should have been garroted. Every single goddamn one that thought this would be a good idea. No. Raging Katsumi, thank you for redeeming your points, friend. You fucking degenerate.
asked for a tour, we would have happily facilitated one for them, but there was absolutely no notice. And the fact that they put hands, they body slammed, body rammed, push, shove, whatever you want to call it, it was assault on our ICE agents, and it's unacceptable.
More ICE agents should be assaulted. There, I said it. I will willingly say it again. If you are an ICE agent, you are simply part of the Gestapo, and more people should be fighting against you, and you deserve every bad thing that happens to you. You are not just doing your job, you are doing a particular job, and you can choose not to do that job, and instead you choose to do that job because you're an inhuman son of a bitch.
Now, folks, there was also a markup in the Energy and Commerce Committee today. The markup is, again, to take away your Medicaid. The Energy and Commerce Committee is where markups around Medicaid take place.
Sure, okay, so we've moved past what I was talking about initially, which is fine, especially after my phone decided that it wanted to start listening in on me. Stupid fucking Gemini bullshit. Jesus Christ. Remember, your bite strength is a lot stronger than you think, and it can bite off a finger. So do you have Gemini disabled on your phone? So, like, it's one of those things that I find a handful of uses for once every month or 3. And then the rest of the time, it just makes me fucking angry. Also, apparently, our tank DC'd, as did one of our healers. So, I guess we're not completing this this raid. That's cool. I guess that means we didn't get to complete any of those quests. That's also cool. Actually, says, I've used it once to tell me the time when my hands were full and I couldn't see my phone. That's a reasonable use for it. Nelsera says, no pro tag, no raid. Yep, you need the tank. The tank is the anime protagonist. We're just the groupies. We are just the groupies. The only use the assistant is for is what's this song? That's the only thing I use it for. Ravi, thank you for redeeming your points for an Ada. You fucking degen. Jesus. So it is insane to me. It is insane to me that we live in a world where the president is just accepting this giant goddamn bribe and then having a military parade. Again, sidebar for everyone here. Just curious. Should I cover the military parade? As in, should I go to DC and attempt to cover it? Because if I do, it's basically going to be I do the protest at I do the protest at Florida, and then immediately start heading up to Washington DC. Because the protest in Florida is going to be on the 11th of June. And the protest in D.C. is going to be on the 14th of June. Trace James says, can you afford that trip to drive up? So, I don't know yet. I can already afford the next protest trip to Florida because I did get donations from my last video talking about what happened in numbers high enough to afford the travel costs and the hotel costs and the food costs. So everything that is necessary for that trip, I have gotten. A patron of mine is seeing if they can figure out room and board for me in DC if I choose to go there. At that point, it's just food and travel that is going to be needing to be taken care of. And if I'm being honest, potentially bail money, because there is a chance going to a protest of that scale, there is a chance that something bad happens, especially because the protest is going to attempt to block the military parade. Which, just saying, them some spooky odds to go against. I'm not unwilling to stand with my fellow patriots in that scenario. But I also have to be realistic about the situation that we would be facing there. Because it is a scary fucking situation. Axel says, I swear if they try to compare this Prey to Pride, he's a goddamn dictator. And this is just showing that he's a goddamn dictator. This is Trump proving day in and day out that he's not concerned with freedom, he's concerned with power. Which, as I've said before, and I will continue to say now, politics is about power. The right understands this better than the left. I agree with that statement, so I may as well start saying that statement. But it is also in our best interest to point out corruption when it fucking happens. The right wing is going to do it all the time.
Now, what can I help you?
So we should be doing it too.
See you around.
Sarah Chikorita says, someone who tries to project strength is merely exhibiting weakness. Yes, but that statement doesn't mean anything. Because while Trump is trying to showcase his strength, which proves that he's weak, his base believes that this is him showing strength. They believe that this is him being strong. And because his base believes that, there is a power that grants him. And it is very, very, very important to never forget that. To undermine the powers of your enemy is to ignore the potential harm your enemy can cause. And ignoring the harm your enemy can cause is tantamount to suicide. Your enemy can always do more to you. They can always make your life worse. They can always do more things. And ignoring that is a fool's errand. Sarah says his base are drooling morons. That doesn't matter. They have guns and lead pipes like everyone else. We can point and laugh and say, oh, the Trumpers, they're all so fucking stupid, and we would be correct. But it doesn't mean anything if they're the ones in power. It doesn't mean anything if they still have influence over your life. Yeah, they're the living epitome of idiocracy. That doesn't mean anything when their influence over your life hasn't changed. Sarah says they think we're afraid of guns. Some people are, but the majority of people are not. The majority of people just have their own guns. I think it's reasonable to be afraid of guns. I think it makes sure that you have a respect for guns. You can post it here on Discord. My state, Iowa, has passed a law in the Senate to limit local government's ability to restrict fireworks. Talks of it being important for supporting the state to participate in Trump's plans for the 250th anniversary. Let's introduce legislation to make it so that we can have more of these explosives. Whee! Zada says, it's okay to respect guns, but to fear them? No, I think fearing them is fine. Somebody aims a fucking gun at you, you're not going to be like, I'm not afraid of your gun. No, you're going to experience fear. Fear is fine. Fear is not weakness. Fear is a fucking survival trait. Fear is a thing we use to gauge how we respond to things. I own guns, and I still think it is responsible to say, in somebody else's hands, I am perfectly afraid of that weapon. Anybody with a coherent survival instinct should be saying the same. So it's okay to be scared of a wild animal because it could kill you. A gun is a wild animal in this case. Yeah. If a person doesn't like me, but a person doesn't have a gun, the chances that they can do anything about not liking me is infinitely smaller than the chances of them being able to do something if they have a gun. So the only thing to fear is fear itself. Again, I think that ignores the purpose of fear in the grand scheme of survival. Fear informs us on what we need to be afraid of, or on what we need to be avoiding so that we can survive. Fear of another person's gun is a reason why I also have a gun. Raging Katsumi says, "Hey, Suris, a little late here, but I sent you a dono. Let me check on PayPal real quick. There's survival fear and fear of the other fear. Yeah, there are legitimate fears and there are illegitimate fears. I am perfectly willing to agree to that. Let's see here. You said that yours was under the name Sabrina. Did you get it? I do not see it. Oh, I see it. I see it. I see the one from Sabrina. So yes, and I have actually moved. I have moved every penny that was sent to me in the last 48 hours, because I'm assuming that every penny that was sent to me was for the purpose of travel expenses. I have moved every penny that was sent to me into savings so that it can be used exclusively for when that travel happens. Yes, that is enough to be impactful. Yours, and it was like 3 or 4 other donos combined, cover the travel expenses and the hotel costs together. And the food. The only thing it doesn't cover is if bail has to happen, but we'll figure that out when we get there. So thank you very much for that. That does help a ton. It means that plans for going to Florida for the next protest are able to be underway. That all said, we have a corrupt politician in the White House. Who would have thunk it? Insert end of video tagline here. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full-time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravelern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fire Shard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.